This October, Blue Apron is celebrating its 5th anniversary by bringing back its top 20 recipes from throughout the past 5 years, as picked by you, the Blue Apron community. Your favorite Blue Apron recipes are back on the menu for a limited time only. Blue Apron is all about giving people fresh recipes to explore as they learn to cook new dish after new dish, which is why they don't repeat recipes within one calendar year. This is what makes this limited time offer so exciting. Try out Blue Apron's all-time customer favorites by going to blueapron.com/Mike and Mike. Blue Apron delivers seasonal recipes along with pre-portioned ingredients to make delicious home-cooked meals. Blue Apron's freshness guarantee promises that every ingredient in your delivery arrives ready to cook, or they'll make it right. Check out this week's menu and get $30 off your first meal with free shipping by going to blueapron.com/Mike and Mike. You're going to love how good it feels and tastes to create incredible home-cooked meals with Blue Apron, so do not wait. That's blueapron.com/Mike and Mike. Blue Apron, it's a better way to cook.
We roll on this Thursday morning. Mike and Mike, Trey Wingo, Mike Golic Jr. here with you. If you're watching on TV, we have moved over to the side set because we want to be a little more casual. You like that?
Well, listen, this show is casual.
Yes, and our show will be casual.
Friday, we're like casual.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Yeah,
we're just casual.
I wore my casual pants.
Yeah,
these
well,
are casual.
I don't think you own anything that isn't casual.
No, yeah, these are my red sex pants. They're nice.
Okay, I don't need to know anything about
it's
you.
Not like
sex.
Actual. They just they exude that kind of aura.
Sure, they
put
do.
you on this show.
They're kind of.
That's your fault. I want you to know that this is.
I had nothing to do with it.
In every way, this is your fault.
They told me.
In every way, this is your fault.
I don't know if either of you guys have ever seen Parks and Rec, but Ron Swanson's red polo is kind of the equivalent of my red pants. So read into that how you will.
They don't even look red. They look brown.
No, they're like a maroon.
It's like these
maroon.
These chairs that are orange, but Greeny thinks they're red.
No, they're orange.
That's what I thought as well.
So glad we're getting all the difficult things out of there. Glad you're with us. We're presented by Progressive Insurance, and all phone guests appear on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Don't forget to hit us up on the Twitter feed, 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed. By the way, we have that poll going. I'm surprised, by the way, that we haven't gotten more love for April.
Yeah.
The poll is the best sports month because today is the only day we're guaranteed in 2017 to have the 4 major sports all active in professional sports on the same day with Game 5, multiple NBA and NHL games, and then, of course, you have the start of Week 7, the AFC West showdown, the Raiders hosting Kansas City. And so a lot of people think October might be the best month because of the playoffs and college football and all that kind of stuff. I put forth that my favorite month is always April because you have the NCAA championship game. You have the start of Major League Baseball. You have playoffs in the NBA and the NHL. You have the Masters, which is the first major of the year in golf. And, of course, you have the NFL Draft, which is the greatest circus of all time.
So there's that, and there's depth, and there's the headliners, which you brought up, Mike, in March, right? Where, to me, the start of the NCAA tournament, because I'm kind of with you, those first 2 weekends, Thursday to Sunday, the following Thursday to Sunday in March, are fantastic. When so many millions of people are involved because of their sheets of integrity.
Yes.
But not everybody does it just because of the major sports. How about this from John? So make sure at Mike and Mike, at Wingo's,
at ESPN Golic,
and at ESPN Golic. What's yours again? You got it.
Golic Jr. 57 543-7386Q.
Yeah, you know what? Listen, everyone can keep hating. All right, the brand is strong right now. Leave it alone.
All right. John says this. Isn't that what it's about now? We're branding. John's tweet: June, U.S. Open.
Yeah.
2 major sport finals, French Open finals, start of Wimbledon, men's and women's World Cup, Triple Crown, Euro Cup.
Yeah, but the Men's and Women's World Cup isn't every year, though. I mean, in the years that happens,
we don't have to worry about the World Cup anymore.
Well,
whoa.
Well, we do, I mean, as a country, we don't.
If you like the sport, you can still watch it.
I'm still going to watch the World Cup, but I'm just mean like we as like
why
a
you got to bring
nation.
us down?
You know
why you got to bring us down?
You know what we won't be chanting?
Yeah.
USA. Sorry.
You won't see us. That's what we'll be chanting.
We can chant SEC with like the Kentucky fans and the Vanderbilt fans, the people that have to parrot things when they don't have any of their actual own things.
There you go.
Right.
So John went for depth then.
But those are things, but that can't be your favorite month.
No. It's not mine. It would be, I'm still kind of deciding between October and April. April, I do love the Masters. I love, obviously, the championship game in the NCAA tournament, playoffs and NBA and hockey, but my favorite sport is not going on outside of the draft, which is fantastic reality TV.
Fair.
I get it,
Yeah.
but there's no like on-field play, so that's what's holding me from really committing just yet.
I get that. Well, you don't have to be
I have commitment issues.
I was about to say, well, I think we all
I've been
do.
married 30 years, and you know what? We're still working through it. See if it's going to fly.
Well, here's hoping this thing lasts.
You don't have to stay together for the kids anymore. We're good. We'll go with mom.
See, there it is.
Again,
under the bus.
Seriously?
I just don't want you to feel compelled to do anything on my behalf. I'm just telling you, genuinely, it's cool.
Hey,
we're going to side with her no matter what.
If it makes you feel better, I'm not doing anything on your behalf. So maybe he should be doing something
There we
on
go.
your behalf. All right, listen, again, we'll get through that throughout the show. Hit us on the Flowers.com Twitter feed, 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed. But also, we had two really amazing baseball
Yes, we did.
last night. And I don't – this was never going to be the year where the Yankees were supposed to be one win away from the World Series, right? I mean, just go back to Game 2 of the ALDS in Cleveland, where the Yankees blew a 5-run lead.
Right.
When in one part in the 6th inning, Joe Girardi, the Yankees manager, took out CC Sabathia after 77 pitches when he was dealing, and then he doesn't have the video replay of whether or not the ball hit off the end of the bat,
right?
And then that bat extends and he hits a grand slam. Or the next player hit it.
Right,
Lindor hit the grand slam, and everyone's like, "This is it, Joe Girardi. Is he not coming back?"
How many days? Do you know, Mike? How many days ago we were talking?
10?
About
it was about 10, right?
I asked Mike and you answered.
Sorry.
This is how it's all going to work?
This is it. Yeah.
You're the one guy on this set whose name isn't Mike.
Well, actually, see, you don't know this. To make everything easier for everybody, I'm going to legally change my name.
I would hope so.
To Mike, and Mike.
Holy smokes. So it's 10 days. He gave you the answer.
It's 10, Mike.
It really is amazing. I mean, from sitting there and watching his counterpart in the AL East and John Farrell get shown the door there with the resume that he had, you had to figure Joe Girardi was already kind of looking at real estate in other places and kind of seeing what he was going to figure out. And instead, right now, I mean, there's no way you can fire the guy now, can you? I mean, I guess I take that back. The Red Sox still found a way to fire John Farrell after back-to-back AL East titles and a World Series and all those things.
And it could be a choice by Girardi. His deal's up, so they could either not renew him, offer him a low ball him, so meaning, hey, we don't really want you back. Or Joe could decide, as Buster Olney had mentioned, that maybe Joe wouldn't want to come back to this. But we'll see, because they're still playing. They're one game away from the World Series.
Well, the interesting thing there is, I mean, all these young guys, we've talked about it, these young guys that have come up through the Yankee farm system, they all know Joe. I mean, this is who they've sort of grown up with. So the idea now that you would pull the plug on that would make no sense. Although that's what happened with the Yankees in '95 when they lost to the Mariners in the postseason, and Buck Showalter got fired. In came Joe Torre, who was supposed to be just a recycled manager, and lo and behold, he started on one of the greatest dynastic runs, the greatest dynasty in sports has ever seen with the Yankees.
I'm looking forward to the turn in all this because, correct me if I'm wrong, this feels like a more likable Yankee team than we're used to, right? And maybe it's just because it
as a Yankee fan, I don't see that, but sure.
Maybe it's just because it doesn't have A-Rod on it. I think the general public, they see the young Yankees, you got the Judges Chamber and all this stuff. It's fun right now. This is like pre-MVP young Steph Curry, where everyone's cool and LeBron's dapping him up at the All-Star game. Everyone likes it. And then all of a sudden, these guys are going to get good, and God forbid they add Bryce Harper. People are going to go back to hating these guys real quick, and it's going to get super uncomfortable when this team that we're kind of like, I feel like people are weirdly okay watching this Yankees team succeed right now in a way that we wouldn't have exactly been for the evil empire before this.
Got a great Hembo stat here. First, the threesome of Judge, Sanchez, Gregorius, what they're doing has been incredible with the bats. And again, last night against Dallas Keuchel, who had owned the Yankees. But if the Yankees do get one more win, and we all think, even though the Cubs won last night 3-2, Javier Baez hits a couple of home runs, so they're down 3-1 in this series. But it's still, everybody believes the Dodgers, they have Kershaw on the mound tonight, are going to move on.
He's been suspect again in
He has,
postseason.
but I mean, nobody thinks, at least not really many people think the Cubs are going to come back down 0-3.
Well, it's only happened once. Yeah, you're right.
So and if the Yankees can get one more win there in the World Series, the Dodgers look like they're going there. This will be the first time, and the Yankees have been in the World Series, 300 or 400 times?
6,482. Yeah. They're going for their 41st.
This will be the great Hembo stat. This will be the first time since 1976 the Yankees, if this matchup is in the World Series, will be in the World Series and have a smaller payroll than the team that they're playing.
That's amazing.
But Steinbrenner brought the team, what did you say, 73?
Correct.
73. So how about that? The Dodgers with the bigger payroll. First time since 76 that the Yankees would have less payroll.
And
if it happens, if it
happens, certain network executives will be salivating with the idea of a Yankees Dodgers.
Well,
West
you're just
Coast,
thinking the
East Coast.
Kershaw-Judge matchup. Everybody's starting to highlight these things.
Which, by the way, is not to take away anything from the Cubs. I think the Cubs would be a huge draw as well. But if you can pull East Coast, West Coast from a television perspective, that's pretty much what you're looking for.
Cubs, been there, done that, right?
Well, that's that's
the Cubs.
Old
We're
news.
so past the Cubs.
It is kind of amazing how quick that's happened, though, to where we're comfortable. We're kind of we don't need the Cubs to win all this again. If you're looking for a great following act to last season's awesome postseason, where we saw a great ratings for Major League Baseball, a great postseason matchup, that whole storyline, this is a hell of a second act.
Yeah, it certainly is, and we'll see if that plays out again. Cubs and Dodgers play Game 5 today at Wrigley. And a reminder, Mike and Mike is presented by Progressive Insurance. Progressive is celebrating 5 years and more than 500 cars donated to vets. To learn more, visit keystoprogress.com. And we'll see what happens as we go forward there. We'll also see what happens as we go forward, guys, with the saga of Rick Pitino.
Yes.
Rick Pitino, of course, fired at Louisville amid the Sting investigation by the FBI with allegations of payments of $100,000 through a shoe company to some of his recruits. He was fired with cause by Louisville. He is now fighting them in court, and he's also suing Adidas
right.
Now for this. Now, Rick, outside of saying, hey, you guys shouldn't be here on the day he was relieved of his duties before he was officially fired,
right.
Has not said much. He recently sat down with R.J. Billis to talk about his position on this, the scandal that he finds himself involved with, and here is some of that conversation Rick Pitino had with R.J. Billis.
The federal government is alleging that a Louisville assistant requested a payment from an Adidas representative to provide to a Louisville recruit. It was alleged to be $100,000. Did you know anything about that?
No. One of the toughest things you have to do, and I hope you never do it, is take a lie detector test. You have a blood pressure machine, you're wired up, and we're here for, did you have any knowledge of the Bowen family getting any money? Did you have any knowledge of an Adidas transaction? And I answered absolutely not on both questions and passed the lie detector test.
What kind of access did Jim Gatto or anyone from Adidas have to the basketball program by virtue of the contract?
Very little. They had very little, and I don't think they wanted access. A week before this broke, they were doing a whole testing area. They took a whole gymnasium and they were testing the shoes and using our players and showing it how it works. That was the first real interaction we've ever had with Adidas in terms of getting involved with their brand.
Why did you decide to file suit against Adidas now?
Well, they terminated me without a phone call, and that's not the reason. It's not revenge for that. I felt they're largely responsible for what has gone on, and they took my love and my passion away from me. Not all of them. There were other reasons, one being one of my coaches. They are responsible for their actions. As I take ownership for 2 hires, they must take ownership for what they did.
Do you feel comfortable that you will be clear of any charge coming your way in the future?
1,000%.
What was the most emotional time in this to date?
Speaking to the players.
Do you believe you will coach again?
I don't know. I'm not sure I want to. Don't know.
Why do you say you're not sure you want to?
Who knows what? I'm just trying to concentrate on today, and I'm really not concerned about the future.
All right, great job by Jay getting the interview.
Yeah.
A lot of interesting things to dissect there.
And that was a couple of minutes. It was a 7-minute interview, and a few times in there, Rick Pitino, when it seemed like he didn't really want to answer when he was asked kind of a direct question, his answer was, I only answer to one person, and that's God. He brought that up a few times.
Technically, God, not a person?
Yeah. I mean, so that seemed like a way around some question. Listen, the bottom line of all of this, guys, is...
Do you believe him?
Do you believe him? Do you believe him, Trey?
I don't know. He's made it difficult. He seemed very... Let me put it this way. He said with conviction the things you would want an innocent person to say. He said it fairly straightforwardly, I think, but it's hard. This thing is going to be. And by the way, we're focusing on Louisville and Rick Pitino now because that's the biggest name that's come out. I don't think we're anywhere near.
I agree, and will it even bleed over into football as well?
So I mean, this story, whether you like it or not, It's just beginning.
Yeah.
This is just the beginning of it. You have a wry smile on your face over there, Junior.
Because I want to try and listen to what he says and not pay attention to like the bloated caricature of a disgraced college head coach that Rick Pitino's become. I said this morning, he's kind of like if the movie The Program became a person, because it's all of these like cartoonish examples of the things that go wrong with college basketball. Like, you want to talk about God asking Rick Pitino the hard questions? God would be looking at Rick Pitino right now like, this is the easiest question I've had to ask you in a while. Like, compared to the rest of the stuff, this is sort of small potatoes. Like, yeah, the money went to the kids in this one. Crazy, like the escorts and some of the personal stuff. Like, yeah. Rick, we've asked tougher questions before. You can take your foot off that pin underneath your big toe for the lie detector test. We've gotten through it. Like, the answer we didn't get at the beginning was great because Rick Pitino goes, I walked into the lie detector test and I told them, ask me if I've ever taken, anything or given it out to players my whole time there. They're like, Rick, this isn't, what we're here for. This isn't what we're going to do. And I imagine Rick, like, pulling them aside after that, like, no, guys, those are the questions I prepared for this. Like, I've been rehearsing the answers for a while. I feel good about this. You guys, by the way, have the lie detector expert coming up on the show in Stu Gotts in a little bit. Right? Like, if you want to talk to someone about how to beat the lie detector, just ask him.
Well, or George Costanza. Well, remember, it's not a lie if you believe.
There you go.
And we're not saying that he's lying.
Well, no, we're not.
We can't say that.
Listen, this is all about and we'll see.
I'm not saying I believe it.
We'll see.
That's fair. That's fair.
I just said if we can get Jay for maybe a couple of minutes, because when this was all going on, we talked to so many people. I, for the life of me, can't remember where Jay was on this, about the escorts in the dorm and stuff, if he believed Rick didn't know, if he believes Rick doesn't know, because that's what a lot of this comes down to. Now, the rule has been changed to where that doesn't work anymore. You can't just say, didn't know.
Yeah.
You're the head coach. You are responsible
it stops with you.
For this. But the bottom line comes down is we always say, does the coach know 100% of everything that's going on? It's ridiculous to think you know 100% of everything that's going on. But most coaches, and we go through it from the football side of it, know that, and from the basketball side, where they're dealing with a fraction of the players, that the coach has their thumb on the heartbeat of that team. Now, there are some things I'm sure they don't know or don't want to know, plausible deniability of go handle this, but are they the architect of it all? Yeah. But as Rick said, he admitted guilt to 2 bad hires. That's what he admitted guilt for.
And that's the thing that makes me not want to believe a lot of this is you're asked to go up there. You have a chance to go up there and actually admit responsibility. And maybe legally he can't admit responsibility for certain things and all this. Maybe there's some of that minutia that gets lost in this with me.
I'm sure a lot.
But when you stand up there and say, I admit responsibility for 2 bad hires instead of, you know what, this is a situation that I needed to have more control of and I didn't. And again, maybe that's part of him trying to get that $44 million, which, right. Get it how you live. If that's the case.
Well, that's a great point because there is a great discrepancy right now between what Rick Pitino believes he's owed from Louisville and what Louisville believes they owe Rick Pitino. And that's an underlying principle here. But the fundamental question, I think, for everybody with Rick Pitino specifically is, do you believe that he had no knowledge of everything that was going on? Because everyone that knows Rick, and Jay Billis alluded to this at another part in the interview, how meticulous he is, how fastidious he is, how he makes sure everything is handled to a certain degree and making sure he's sort of got his fingers everywhere on that program. The question then becomes, if that's your reputation, and Jay alluded to this in the interview. At one point he said, because that's your reputation, do you believe that is hurting you in the court of public opinion? And I think that's the issue, right? Can someone who is so hands-on, for lack of a better term, and make sure he's sort of lording over every aspect of the program, not be aware of this? I think that's possible. I don't know if it's true, but I certainly understand how it could be possible.
I don't buy it here. I don't believe he was making up the itinerary for everything in the last couple of cases, but to think that he had zero knowledge of the overall situation of some of the things that were going on, I find hard to believe for a guy that's been in it this long, that has the reputation that he has of control of things. So, again, do I agree 100% of everything of all time? No. But we're not talking about a couple of jaywalking tickets here,
right.
Okay? We're talking about
these are big ones.
Escorts in a dorm room. We're talking about payoffs to kids,
$100,000
FBI being involved. So I have a hard time believing that he wasn't, ancillarily aware of some of the things going on in this.
Well, yeah, I mean, how many times does it have to come up before we look at these statements kind of sideways, where it's something like this, and to your point, big somethings, in a spot where, especially in recruiting, like you look at coaches, they rightly pay hyper attention to recruiting because that's your lifeblood. Like, you don't get, like, everyone gets paid. We are talking about it all the time in college athletics. The system works because you've got the labor that works in the system. You win with good players. The coaches are important. They're the ones that stay there, but those guys will be the first to tell you they're only going to go so far as the recruits that they can bring in there. And so you damn right pay attention to make sure you're bringing the best recruits and that you're doing everything you can to appeal to these kids. So all of a sudden you're going to tell me now that he's allowing someone else to play fast and loose with the toys that are going to end up coming and being in his sandbox when he's the guy overall that there, because at the end of the day, if he doesn't pay attention, he has to answer for the product that goes out on the basketball court. And if he's not paying attention here, why shouldn't he have to answer for the product that's going to work on his campus?
So quick question to both of you, and I don't know where it's going. Certainly the legal side of it, is going to get really interesting. There's the NCAA side of it, and, that. So this is from a pure coaching standpoint. If there's no, show cause and he doesn't have to miss, say he's eligible to coach. Let me just put it that way. With all that's gone on, would you hire him if you're a college as your coach?
Well, look, that's the tough one, and he alluded to it. He's not sure. He said he even wants to coach again.
But if he does, if he actively is searching to coach again, and you're running a program, you're the AD at a good school.
Define good school.
Well, I'm a bigger type of
FAU.
School.
Yeah. Okay. Here's
him and Lane Kiffin. That's an athletic department.
Here's the deal. Well, that would certainly be an interesting athletic department. Here's the deal. You have to say to you, I don't know how old is Rick?
65.
He's 65.
I think.
So how many more years?
Could be wrong.
How many more years do you want to invest in this?
Right.
I mean, that's if you're looking for a quick fix, maybe you do it. The problem with Pitino is this is not the first time.
Well, yeah.
And it's the same thing with John Calipari. No matter what, there will always be that red mark that, he's the only guy that's had 2 Final Four teams vacated.
Right.
Either that you can say he's very unlucky that happened twice, or there may be something else there.
You hiring him?
Listen, if I'm would I personally? Probably not. Would someone? Hell yeah. I mean, listen, there's enough going on in college athletics that people are content to look the other way on. If you've got a guy in your program that thinks, hey, this could get it going for us, this could get us some notoriety or a little bit of infamy, something tells me they'll take a little bit of the bad with some of the good that they know comes with this guy.
Look, at the end of the day, we've seen this happen time and time again. Oh, that guy will never get hired again. And they usually get hired. They usually. So if you're going with would you hire him? I'm saying yes, because history tells you more than likely it will happen.
Especially for this being the last one, because again, relative to the other things we've talked about here, if you were going to say this coming off of the escort thing where you're doing actual probable harm to the parties involved in this, down the road, that's great. With this one here and the pay for players, you're going to tell me that that's the one that's going to set me over the line if this isn't the guy I want? No, if anything, I'm looking at that one and going, all right, tell me more.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me know more about this, because relative to that one, morally, at least I can justify this one a little bit more. Logically, it makes a little more sense to me than the rest of it.
Why don't you go suck up to mom a little more now?
We'll see what happens going forward. Yeah, you go do that.
Hey everyone, Mike Golic here. Support for the Mike and Mike podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. Rocket Mortgage is simple, allowing you to fully understand all the details and be confident you're getting the right mortgage for you. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Mikes. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLS, consumeraccess.org number 3030.
I just saved hundreds of dollars by switching to Geico. I'm so happy, I feel like I can fly.
Disclaimer, you will not be able to fly by switching to Geico. This is against the laws of physics and nature. If you find yourself flying, please seek professional and or medical help immediately. In the unlikely event you find yourself flying, you might be a superhero, or a pigeon, or a superhero named Pidgewoman, who was bitten by a radioactive pigeon. If you are indeed Pidgewoman, Geico retains all licensing publishing rights in the event Pidgewoman the movie becomes a top-grossing Hollywood blockbuster.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
All right, we roll on here. Mike and Mike, presented by Progressive Insurance, and all guests appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, including Major League Baseball Network's Al Leiter, joining us now on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, taking synthetic motor oil performance to a whole new level. Make the switch to Pennzoil Synthetics today. And as we said, Al Leiter is now with us on Mike and Mike, and you can watch Al on Major League Baseball Network's MLB Tonight, which will air live before and after every World Series game. Al, thanks for being with us. And what a turnaround for the New York Yankees against Dallas Keuchel, who had just been unbeatable against the Yankees in his career. They got to him early, and then they went through that bullpen of Houston pretty quickly last night.
Yes. Good morning, Trey. Good morning, Mike. I think it really comes down to the uber level of scouting. I think when you see a guy, and I've always thought this, in enough at-bats and enough plate appearances, there's only so many areas you can go. And as dominant as Dallas Keuchel was in his first start against the Yankees, you go back to video, you look at his sequence. And I think what Dallas did so well in Houston was that he really exploited the Yankee hitters to expand the zone. And that's ultimately what every pitcher tries to do, get a strike in the zone, as Dallas did in his start in Houston, and then fed off the aggressiveness of hitters, as actually what we saw with Tanaka last night.
Well, and let's go to Tanaka because, listen, we talk the Astros, you talk about Keuchel and Verlander, justifiably so, and certainly with the Yankees, that name CC Sabathia, and, and what that means in that name. But Masahiro Tanaka, this is a great stat. Third Yankee pitcher with multiple outings of 7 scoreless innings in the same postseason. He joins a couple of guys you might have heard of, Roger Clemens and Whitey Ford. I mean, so
really never heard of those
and
guys.
This is a guy with some arm issues early on. You weren't sure what direction that was going to go. Why is it hitting so well for him right now?
You know what, Mike? I hate to use this word, but I think certain guys relish the moment. And truthfully, Tanaka this year, I mean, he had an up and down season. His ERA was mid-4s. Actually, down the stretch, his ERA was 5 in September. He did have this great last start against Toronto where he struck out 15. I would say this, and I really think a guy like Masahiro Tanaka or any pitcher that has the ability to really slow his pace down and realize what you're trying to accomplish, I think what Tanaka has done, and other Yankee pitchers, CC included, is to feed off younger hitters' aggressiveness to swing at pitches out of the zone. This is a very good team. Metrics-wise, the Houston Astros were the best offense in baseball. But when you have a guy, Tanaka I thought was exceptional. If you watch the game and all the pitches as I did last night, he barely ever missed thigh high and up. He's got his two-seam action fastball that occasionally hits 94, 95. It's really not overpowering in today's world. And he's got the great split finger and a slider. And his split, they knew what was coming, but it was that unbelievable late action. And, watching a lot of the Astro hitters just swinging over, what ultimately were pitches that are either shin high or in the dirt.
Well, you're not kidding.
And he's stepping up. I don't know. I think Trey, he's a guy that has absolutely stepped up. How do you explain an ERA in 3 starts? As you just said, Mike, an ERA under 1, and you mentioned Roger Clemens and Whitey Ford.
Well, it's just crazy, and they made an emphasis of that on the broadcast last night. Everything was down, and they kept chasing him as they went away out of the zone. So that was a lot of fun to watch, to see him. And you mentioned relishing the moment. When he got that strikeout, I think in the 5th inning, I've never seen him that animated, agitated or excited. That was fun to see. Conversely, now when you talked about the Astros not hitting, boy, it's fun to watch the development of Aaron Judge. And Hembo, our great researcher here, pointed this out. His last 3 hits in this series have been a double off a cutter, a double off a slider, and a homer off a curve. Talk about a guy who's made the adjustments that you were just alluding to. He has really found a way to – he's not just sitting dead red anymore. He is finding ways to hit pitches that were in the past, he'd be striking out on those.
Boy, is that so true, Trey. Listen, I think Aaron Judge is a special kid. He really is. I mean, this guy not only can hit the ball out of any park, including Yellowstone, he's a guy that actually was very patient. Well, I mean, you see how monstrous he is. He's a gentleman. He's a nice guy. He's respectful. I think, he's a guy that actually, is going to do a lot. And I think mostly, Trey, he's a guy that is patient enough to take his walks. Yes, will he strike out a ton at some as he did down the stretch a bit? Yes. But I think what the Yankees have done, and really, I can't believe I'm saying this because it is the New York Yankees, but I really feel that their attitude and their mindset was, not that we don't have anything to lose, because anytime you get this close, you just never know if you ever get this opportunity again. Look at this. I mean, the Dodgers on the brink of possibly going to their first World Series since Gibby was doing the fist pump to Eckersley in '88. So you never know. But this was a bit of a surprise, or at least acceleration for the New York Yankees to be where they are. And, they took advantage of it. They did an unbelievable trade as Brian Cashman at the trade deadline, bringing in Sonny Gray. I think Todd Frazier's unbelievable for the room and team chemistry. Yes, dare I say it. And they're having fun. I mean, at the end of the season, we haven't seen in postseason, they did this makeshift little camera thing. So when you have players that are comfortable and they're happy and they're passing the baton, Aaron Judge just really, truly feels a part of it, even though he's an exceptional player and maybe win the MVP.
So on that, we're talking to Al Leiter again. MLB Network's MLB Tonight is going to air live before and after every World Series game. Now let's take people where 99.9% of us will never be, and that's on a Major League pitcher's mound. You're on the mound. How do you pitch to Aaron Judge? What are you throwing?
Oh, I'm teasing him with fastballs in off the plate for him to mentally think that I'm trying to come in hard. And as a lefty, it's a little different, Mike, because I cut guys in. So I probably would just use my strength. But as a right-hander, you got to go with the statistics of if you can get a strike and you have that depth breaking ball, preferably with some tilt to it, and you start outer half, outer third, and just let it do its thing. And, prior to the last couple games, and I really think it was the home run that he had, and I think it was Game 4 off of Will Harris. Harris came in relief. I'm pretty sure I'm getting my games confused. He came in relief of McCullers, yeah.
Right.
And he ended up going a slider away, and he went fastball, and then he tried to throw a cutter in. And Judge got him. And I just think, certain at-bats like that, when guys are struggling statistically, and Gary Sanchez was part of that. It's a mental thing for you to can't believe that this is where you are. I mean, you look again, not to go back to the Astro lineup, but Altuve is an exceptional hitter. Guy batted 350, 200-plus hits a year for 4 years in a row, batting titles. And, he kind of looks lost, truthfully. I mean, 0 for 4 last night, and I know Tanaka was great. Correa, and then the whole pressure gulp, I got to be the guy to do it. And then you have guys that are good hitters end up swinging at pitches off the plate. So, to answer your question, I think Aaron Judge for me is make sure that the guy in front of him is not on base, or at least having nobody on base, and then just make him swing at a pitch that you think he'll ultimately want to be teased at. And that's been a right-handed breaking ball going down the way. I mean, listen, Verlander, they know what he's got. I mean, he dominated, complete game, 13 strikeouts. So Friday, that matchup of Severino and Verlander should be good. Should be good for the Astros, assuming that Verlander shows up again, and he has since he's been there.
Boy, he certainly showed up, like you said, with those 13 strikeouts in Game 2. Okay, that'll be Game 6 of the ALCS. We got Game 5 of the NLCS coming up tonight, Quintana against Kershaw. Look, Al, the Cubs have been unbelievable, 5-0 in their last 5 elimination games going back to last postseason. They'll have to keep that going if they have any chance, because every game's an elimination game for now. Do you think they can get it done against Kershaw again?
Listen, I mean, it's Clayton Kershaw, and anything obviously as good as he is. I know in his first game, they took him out after 5, a couple runs, gave up a home run to Almora. Listen, I mean, who knows? I mean, it's going to come down to Quintana doing his thing. It's a National League game. Their bats are cold as well. I mean, to see Rizzo and Bryant in the middle of their lineup not hitting. And ultimately last night, ironically enough, they sat Baez. Joe Madden did. He comes in and gets a couple home runs and, is the hero for the day, along with Contreras and certainly what Arrieta. If Arrieta didn't have the bum leg going down the stretch, he pitched better than a number 4 starter against Wood. So, yes, no doubt. You're going to see a great left-handed matchup in Quintana and Kershaw. And ultimately, it comes down to bullpens. And if it really is that and it's tight, I mean, bullpen edge goes to the Dodgers.
Al, we appreciate your time. That's great stuff. Again, MLB Network's MLB Tonight air live before and after every World Series game. That's a place you can catch Al Leiter. Al, appreciate the time. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure, guys.
Thanks, Al. By the way, Al used to work for us years ago when I did Baseball Tonight. He used to bring donuts every time. So Al always.
It's a good man. Listen,
Al. Yeah.
Are you kidding me? That's a soft place in my heart for people like that who just get it.
Yeah, Al's good people, and he always brought the donuts. All right, we roll on here on a Thursday morning. Trey Wingo, Mike Golic here. It's Mike and Mike, sort of Golic and Wingo.
Or Golic and Wingo.
Sort of the same thing. We're moving on. We're presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests appear via the Shell Pennzoil Performance line. Again, we got Stugatz coming up. We got Adam Schefter coming up. Damien Woody's coming up. But before we get to that, you want to do a little over-under?
Let's do over and under.
It's brought to you by Cabbage, who created a simpler way for businesses to get flexible access to up to $100,000. That's Cabbage with a K, as in cash, as in cabbage.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Let's start with the over-under with the Celtics, with obviously the horrible loss of Gordon Hayward week 1, game 1. 538.com projects 37 wins for the Celtics after the Hayward injury. So Celtics over win total before the season was 53.5. So let's go 47.
47.
Over under.
I still think they're a good ball club.
Yeah.
You know, developing those young players as well. I'm going to go over that.
You think it's going to be closer to 50?
I still think they'll be one up there in the seeds. I don't think they're going to go nearly as far as they could have without Hayward, but I'm still going to go over on that, even though they are 0-2 right now.
But that means Kyrie Irving's got to be the guy.
Yes, he does.
And that's
he wanted to be the guy.
That's what he wanted.
The guy.
Be careful what you ask for. Right. Sometimes you're going to get it. So he's going to carry it. You know, just for differences, I'll say under.
Okay.
I mean, boy, I tell you what, 37 wins from 538. That is a massive departure.
Big cut from 53.5.
It has hurt them already. As you said, they're 0-2 as they lost to the Bucks and the Greek Freak on last night. Okay, over under 1.5. AFC South teams to make the playoffs.
Right now, the leaders are 3-3,
and there's three of them.
And there's 3 of them. I'm going to say under. I think there'll be one. I think you'll get your division winner. And I think I had picked Tennessee at the beginning of the year. Mariota, if he can stay healthy, they haven't been what I thought they would be early on. I'm not ready to bail on them just yet, but boy, the play of Deshaun Watson, the weapons he has on offense, Will Fuller back from the injury he had is just a man that just ends up in the end zone all the time. Obviously, you lost 2 studs with Merciless and Watt on the defensive side. So I still think it's one of those 2 teams, but just one. I'm going under. It's going to be one team.
I'm going to say over because nobody knows anything about the NFL right now. I mean, none of us know anything. There's not the Kansas City Chiefs, who are playing tonight, and we'll get into that a little bit later, are clearly, at this point, the best team in football. They were the last unbeaten team. They lost at home to a very tough Pittsburgh team. Mm-hmm. But you know what? Nobody knows anything this year in the NFL, so I'm going to say maybe we get 2. Maybe it's Jacksonville and Houston, or maybe it's Tennessee and Jacksonville. We got 3 there.
That's a pinpoint answer out of you.
I'm going to say it's over.
Okay.
I'm going to say it's over. So there we
go.
Can
you name some teams that aren't in the AFC South, too? Wow.
No.
Okay,
because it's just an AFC South question.
This next question is
over under 0.5. More times the Browns switch their starting quarterback this season.
So not only is Deshaun Kaiser going to go back to starting, but the guy who started last week, Kevin Hogan, for benching
third.
Kaiser is now third. Cody
apparently
Kessler,
there's some injury that may be a part of that, but still, it's
so. Cody Kessler now is the backup. Deshaun Kaiser back to start, and quite honestly, I didn't know when it was going to happen, but they had to get Deshaun Kaiser back in because they have to find out if they don't need to finally draft a quarterback.
Again,
right?
Or pass on. Just look at all the quarterbacks they've passed on.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go back to Ben Roethlisberger. You go back to last year and Carson Wentz. And this year they could have gotten Deshaun Watson. Instead, they went with Deshaun Kaiser.
They need to go into this offseason knowing we are drafting a quarterback or we feel we are set at quarterback. That said, 0.5, how do you not take the over?
Got to take the over.
How do you not take the over with what they've been going through?
History tells us they will take the over whether they want to or not. Yeah. I was surprised that they made the change away from Deshaun Kaiser because once Hugh Jackson, you roll with the rookie, you're rolling with him.
You know what?
You're running with him.
I don't mind taking a step back, 3 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, let him take a breath. Yeah. But as I had said, it shouldn't be for too long. You got to get him back in. You got to know what you have before you get to the offseason, and we'll start going through free agency and the draft and all that again.
And we may be going through this process again with Cleveland.
So.
We got more over-unders. We'll do that a little later on Mike and Mike. Coming up, we got Stugatz, plus we also have Damien Woody and Adam Schefter ahead on the next hour. We get you set for everything you need to know. Stay with us on Mike and Mike, Golic, Wingo, whatever.